Hey, what's going on, guys? It is Adam here with the Absolutely Golf Podcast, and we're talking a little golf today. Pretty interesting week in golf. Yeah, it's you got the Riviera Genesis going on this week, and then Tiger talking about the potential of him coming back in at Augusta. And then all sorts of stuff going on. So, you know, new launches, new clubs coming out that are already out, stuff that dropped today. So all sorts of stuff we can talk about. And anything that you guys want to chat about, we can do that. So today's episode, we'll call this episode 3 of the podcast. And there is a lot of things going on in the golf space. This time of year you've got PGA Tour, you got Live going on, you got all these club launches. Today, Toulon announced a new line of putters. Bettinardi just came out with a new line of putters. So there is so much stuff that's um, really dropping today. Last week you've got TaylorMade is already out with the QI40. You've got the new Quantum drivers, Mizuno drivers, Torres drivers. I mean, everybody's got a new driver this year, except for Titleist, which is kind of interesting. So, Titleist has quietly just been out with the GT drivers, and um, they dropped the price like $200 on the day that the QI40 dropped, which I thought was kind of interesting. So, you've got this really awesome driver that came out in 2025 that still competes, and now you can get it for $449. $200 cheaper than all the new stuff that just dropped. Smart move, or them just trying to uncut everybody, or both? What else is going on out there? Um, so many new launch monitors dropped at the PGA show. Stuff that's starting to come out. You've got all this product that is getting ready for 2026, stuff that is already out there. So what are you guys most excited about this year? Are you looking at new drivers, new irons? Mizuno has quietly added more to the, I guess we used to call it the Mizuno Pro line. You had the S1, S3. They killed the 241, 243, 245, and now you've got the addition of the, I guess, the S series or M series line. So I guess the M 13 and M 15. And then on top of that, the JPX one line of woods. Uh, Mizuno's been busy. They have a lot of products out, but then again, so does Callaway. TaylorMade's been pretty smart, I think, pretty strategic in what they've been doing with their iron line. They've got the P series, the 790, the 770. You got the P7 CBs, and then the MBs. That's kind of their line. Then you've got the QI Max and Max HL. Got a club for every golfer, and it's not too saturated. I find that when you're looking at Callaway, some of the other vendors, Callaway makes a lot of great products, but they make a lot of products, in my opinion. You can look at Apex. Just start with that. You got Apex, MB, CB. You've got Apex Pro, Apex 150, 200, 350, or 300. And then you've got the Tie Fusion. And then on top of that, you've got X-Forge, X-Forge Max. And now you've got Quantum, Max, HL. I mean, there's what, 12 irons, if I counted all those right in my head. Um, so I mean, when you walk in, yeah, you've got just about every price point covered. You've got, $999 up to $2,100. So it's a lot of product. It's a little oversaturation, I think, within a line. Um, I like the idea that they have all this technology that they feel they got to roll out and put out there, but it's really confusing from a consumer standpoint. You kind of walk in and you look at one vendor, you're like, damn, which one do I choose? How do am I doing it just based off price? Am I doing this based off of, um, performance, both, can I get last year's product? And in some cases, you still can. Sometimes you can't. That's what I thought, or why I think Ping um, does an amazing job of kind of what they do. It's a 2-year life cycle, and to Titleist is credit, they do the same thing. They have 4 irons, and 5 if you count the star model, but that they keep it, you know, pretty clean in terms of what they offer. I mean, I guess 6 if you count the blade and the CB models that they kind of come in and out with. But you walk in, you kind of know what you got with Titleist. Yeah, Ping, kind of the same thing to some degree. You've got, G440, you've got the 730, there's a I240, and then you go into your blueprint lines. There's going to be a new 5 series, but I think even within that 5 series that's coming out, the I540, is that you're going to get a club that's going to kind of start blending in a little bit with, you know, to me, when I looked at it, I saw it was more of a 770 look, which, not that the 530 is a bad look, it's just a little bit bigger, and depending on where you're trying to, put that club in, um, their line, it's, you start, okay, you've got your blade, you've got your CB, you've got your kind of your player's performance iron, you can almost call it the 240 is kind of uh a blueprint, but maybe a more forgiving blueprint. And then you've got, that 5 series iron, which is like, I look at that, that I series is that tweener, between the G, which is the kind of their game improvement line, um, and their blueprint line. I kind of liked when they had the S, the I, and the G. That kind of made the lines a little bit more separated, I guess, would be the way that I would look at it. Um, when you're looking at something. So, that's kind of my take on it, with some of the new clubs, um, new putters. Again, I get, Mizuno is quietly dropping a little bit of everything. They just have their new Imcraft putters, which are, they're named, after Japanese cities, which is kind of cool. They're a milled putter. They have a couple different shapes, different color styles. They're $300, or 399, 299, 299, I think, if I remember correctly. That just dropped last week, and nobody's talking about them. But these things feel amazing. If you like the original M Craft series, you're gonna like that feel. I think it's a really good product. It looks solid. It's a really strong performer when you look down at it. It's not flashy, and I guess that's by design. If you want a very clean, traditional looking line of putters that feels great, that's got some adjustability to it, that would be the kind of the one that you're looking at. So I'd say go check those out at your local golf store, PG Superstore, etc. With those. So what else is going on? So Riviera is going on this week. There's been some great videos out. Tiger's kind of walking the property. We really haven't seen much of him over the last 4 to 6 months. Now, I know he's been in rehab as far as with his back, the fusion, the new disc replacement, all that stuff. He's obviously been practicing somewhere, but there's been very little video as far as what's out there. You have not seen too many swings of Tiger Woods. Usually, when he starts prepping for tournament golf, there's leaked videos of him. Oh, Tiger's back. He's hitting a golf ball. Um, he did say at his conference, was Augusta off the table, and I got no, and then he had that little that little smirk that he gave, just to kind of throw that out there, make all the golf pundits kind of, oh, Tiger's coming back, which I love to see. He and I are the same age. I've got him by 2 months, and he talks about entering a new decade, and I completely know what he's talking about. You're as you get older, you've got, aches and pains. You don't recover as quickly. You've got to maintain what you've got, if that makes sense. You got to continue to work out. You got to continue to try to keep your speed up. Recovery is very important. I mean, look at Justin Rose and all the stuff that he goes through at 45, 46 years of age. He's got the infrared sauna. Jason Day's the same thing. They've got all these things that they're doing to maintain, their physical, um, attributes as long as they can. The you're going to start. I think you're going to start seeing more quality golfers. As they get into their 40s, able to maintain a lot of. I mean, he's 46 years old. He's what, third or fourth in the world. Justin Rose is. Jason's Day is still a top 20 player. I think I have to look up his world ranking points, but these guys are continuing to play at a very high level. I do as much as I can at 50 years of age to, um, work out when I can. I do need to eat better, but who doesn't? you know, um, Pat, what's going on, man? We're just chatting golf here, talking about equipment, launch monitors, whatever this week. Golf. And those are things um, that you've got to do if you want to play at obviously at their level, but even at a recreational level. I still want to try to play in some competitive stuff maybe in 2026. I just don't know where my game's at, on that level, just because I haven't played anything in, oh Lord, 5 years, 6 years as far as a real golf tournament. Um, Sim golf is one thing, sim golf tournament is another thing. Being under the gun, under the pressure. Um, it's a whole different ballgame when you actually step on a real golf course. I can sit in my garage and hit golf balls and, oh wow, I shot 200 at, Pebble Beach. No, I didn't. I had some good quality shots, and my launch monitor said I did, but could I honestly go out there and shoot 200 at Pebble? No. Um, I mean, I don't think I could, but put the wind and the temperatures and the rough and all the other stuff, and you're probably tacking on another 6 or 7, 8 shots. So maybe I could have broken 80 from the white tees. Who knows? But those are those things. But you get at least a sense of kind of where your swing is, kind of where your game's at, and then hopefully once we get through this weather, that you're able to get out there and start hitting, real golf balls. I enjoy practicing in my garage. I finally got a mat where I'm not getting damaged, in terms of my hands and wrists. We're going to go out and do our league play later this afternoon. For the Golf Creators Collective. That's my league that I do on GS Pro. We do have a league. We've got about 20 golfers in there, and I think with TGL and with TrackMan even has their own thing where they're doing the next tour. These guys are playing for some real money. Right now in SUT, you can play in leagues and other stuff. I don't think there's any real like money games. I think Bushnell has Penseeker where there's some stuff where you can play for cash, but um, there's I think as sim golf continues to evolve, continues more people are putting these things in their house. The store that I work at, we're selling, you know, um, we call it the golf simulator showroom. You can walk into, some of these stores, and especially PGA Tour Superstore now, and you can test a Garmin R50. Some of these places will soon be able to test a full swing kit, a Rapsodo. Some of these devices, so you can make a decision. You talk to someone that kind of knows about simulators and can really educate you on what you need in your space, what type of enclosure, what type of mat, and help you make those decisions and actually try out the software, see if it's something that you like, if it kind of fits your space, fits your the type of golfer that you're looking for. um or type of space. Do you have kids? Is it just you? Is it whatever. Those are the things that you have to consider when you're going to build your sim space. For me, it's my garage, it's just me. I don't have any lefties that come over. It's my dad might pop in once in a while. He's right-handed, and that's really just my space. That I can go out there and I can practice and I can work on some things. I can do my sim golf play. I can do my lives out there with you guys. So maybe we can get somebody on later and, actually do um, not, not a tournament, but just maybe I'll play my sim round, later. But so we just wanted to get on here, talk about all the new stuff that's coming out this week, talk about Tiger, talk about, all the things going on in golf. All right, what else so, we're just coming off the Pebble Beach tournament, last week, and somebody posted the cost to play at Pebble and at Spyglass. And I thought that was one, really interesting, two, stupid expensive, and three, if you guys think it's worth it. So the guy posted it was $650 for a round of golf, plus 100 and something dollars for a caddy, for the caddy fee. Plus, you have to stay at the resort to play Pebble Beach, which is another, what, $300 to $500 depending on the room that you're staying at. So just to play Pebble, you're already over a grand, for stay and play package, if you will. Spyglass was another 500 and something dollars plus $100 for a caddy. Um, so you're paying 2 grand, $2,400, $3,000 to go play a couple rounds of golf out there. Now, if it's a once in a lifetime trip and you've saved up for it, more power to you. Do I think I'm ever going to be able to go out there and play? Can I afford that? No. I can play it on my sim. It's not the same. Say, how you doing, man? Um, Brock, I appreciate that. How you doing today? Oops. Um, so those are the things that's out there. And I mean, golf overall has gotten a lot more expensive. I know courses in my area. I live outside of DC, and a course that I used to work at was 75 to maybe $90 on a weekend. And last year, I think I heard they were charging upwards of 125 to 150 on a weekend. The thing they've got, just again, this is just my opinion, my soapbox. You guys can agree or disagree with me. Is that you you're going to price out the average golfer. One of the good things that they do in Maryland, and I'm sure around the country, but Montgomery County, which is a county just outside of DC, they have 7 or 8 golf courses that are owned by the county, and they do a awesome job of, maintenance is always nice. They have decent practice facilities at these places, chipping green, putting greens. Courses range from, $40 up to like maybe $80 for the more premier one or two that they play. But you could buy a golf book where you get a discount, and so they at least they make golf affordable and accessible for not just your, super elite expensive guys. I think that's something that we have to be real careful of in the golf industry, is to not price out the average golfer. You want to continue to grow the game. You want to continue. I understand things are more expensive. You got the cost of living, cost of maintaining a course, food and beverage, blah, blah, blah. But you still got to have that accessibility to be able to get out and actually play golf. And that's part of the reason why I think golfers are um, going in and playing more sim golf, is that they I mean, hell, I mean, you spend 2 or 3 grand on the setup, but then you have it forever. You've got it for 10 years. Okay, you replace a screen once in a while, maybe your mat. I mean, there's guys on here that play 6 rounds a day. you know? So that's kind of my 2 cents. That's kind of my take on it, if you will. So, um, what else is out there? Let's see. Is anything else going on in the world of golf today? Um Dia, what's going on? So yeah, we're just chatting golf today. Kind of doing a combination of our golf podcast that we do. So we're going to upload this later on TikTok here. We'll also put it on other platforms so you guys can digest this if you want to see the video, or if you just want to just get on and you know listen to me talk about golf. Um, so I've been listening as I've gotten more into the podcast space myself, um, that there is a lot of really good podcasts if you're a club junkie. You got the guys from golf, you've got Johnny Wonder from golf.com, and I can never remember the other kid's name from Made for the Range. Jake. Yeah, Jake from Made for the Range. Those two guys do a really good podcast. They each have their own platforms as well, where they're doing their own content, um, kind of living my dream life. If you will, going out to all the vendors, getting fit by these guys. They had their It's something I've done a couple times in past, but never gone to every facility and actually gotten fit for equipment. That would be, I've been to pretty much just about every major OEMs, excluding Ping. That's one that I still want to check off my bucket list. So Ping, if you're listening to this, hey, would love to come out to the Proving Grounds. That's another great podcast, the Proving Grounds podcast. They had Victor Hovland on this past week, so that's another great one. What else you got? And of course, then you got the equipment junkie, Tej. He does some awesome content as well. So he built his own stuff as well. So there's a lot going on in that space, and these guys are kind of that younger generation that are coming up. They're talking equipment. They're talking about all the stuff that's coming out. You still got their tried and true guys on YouTube with Rick Shields. You've got Mark Crossfield. You've got a lot of other guys, but there's younger guys that are coming out. Of course, you got like Ben Kruper. You got all these other guys that are in that space. But a lot of these YouTubers that have been around for a minute, they're all starting to get picked up by Grant Horvat's got with Tatum Raid, and at least with a driver. And then you got Benz with Wilson, and then you got a lot of guys with lab putters, and Callaway's got good now, and so you've got all these guys that were kind of the young independent Bob Does Sports, all these guys, the Creator Classics, Fat Perez. You go on and on and on, all these different guys, and they're starting to get picked up by these different vendors. It's smart, but by the companies to try to get some of these younger influencers to you sign them up, you put them to equipment. So every time that they shoot a video, they're wearing a Ping hat, they're wearing a Callaway, whatever. Brad Dalkey's is another new, guy that's coming up that's just an absolute beast. So you've got all these guys that are, obviously really good players. But then you got, Bryson out there shooting YouTube stuff. So you've got guys that are creating content that are professional golfers as well. So there's a lot to digest, in that space. So, that's something that, they're all vying for eyeballs, I get on here as well. This is kind of a fun project for me. I don't have hours and hours and hours and hours to edit video and shoot content and upload it. I'll get on here because I can do it pretty easy. I'm on, all the other social stuff as well. So if you don't follow me, you can jump on there and follow me there. Joey, how you doing? So it's there's a lot of stuff out there, and I love talking about it. So this is kind of something that I want to continue to do. Hopefully I can get somebody on here. We do some more content. I would love to talk to anybody that's on TikTok, anybody that's on any of these other platforms. So if you hear this, reach out to me. It's AdamHubbardGolf@gmail. So you can, we love to talk to some of these guys and see what do they do? What's kind of their process? How do they get into it? They've got, I heard from a couple of people that went down to the PGA show that there was all these different influencers. I'm not just talking about from the US. We had, people from Asia, from, Europe, all these different, and they come on with full entourages. They got the face of whatever, but then there's cameras and there's their people and they're falling around, they're shooting from every angle. And it's like, it's a lot, there's a lot in that space now, and everybody's eyeing for eyeballs. They all want to be the new, whatever, Mr. Beast, where they make gazillions of dollars. You know, so, that's just kind of my 2 cents worth on here. I just wanted to pop on for a couple minutes, you know, uh, see if you guys had any questions about anything in the golf space, new equipment, simulators. I'm in the business, so I love talking about the stuff. I'm pretty knowledgeable about clubs. I was a club fitter for 20, almost 30 years before I got into management. So, I'm still around the game, still around golf, and probably will be until I die. It's pretty much I eat, drink, and bleed this stuff. you know, I am definitely a club junkie, if you will. So I love doing it. So if you guys hear this and you like the content, please like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. You can find me here on TikTok. You can find me on all the other stuff as well. It's all under Adam Hubbard Golf. So yeah, that's going to probably do that for me. I just want to jump on here, do a quick little podcast for you guys. See if you guys had any question on anything out there, golf related. You can find me also on the Golf Creators Collective. That is my other TikTok account where we do most of the sim play, and all of our league content is generally shot on there. So, um, you know, Guys, anything else you guys want to chat out here? If I see a few more guys getting on here, maybe we can talk more golf stuff. Any predictions this week on Riv? Who you guys think uh, might win it? Who you guys think might be, top top player this week? I mean, you got Morikawa coming off a great win at Pebble. You've got I mean, God, everybody, I mean, there's just Scotty's playing. You got Chris Goddard up. I mean, so you got some really good players. Smash Bro, what's going on? A lot of people, out there in that are playing some really good golf. At the start of the season. Um, you know, you've got Patrick Reed kind of flight. He was tearing it up the first 3 weeks on DP World Tour. Anthony Kim last week. So many good stories in golf right now. Golf's in a really, really good spot. I think it's something that it's going to bring a lot of outside eyeballs like Tiger did, for a while. So you start seeing, it's nice to see Scotty win, but also get in some more of these, top tier guys that we've kind of known about for a while. We need to call on more cows to start winning. It's nice to see a fresh face with Chris Goddard up. You need some of these, when Rory's playing, start getting some of these guys week in, week out, which I think is what they're trying to do with the tour schedule. I think next year and going forward is to kind of shrink the tour schedule a little bit, so you get more of these guys on there, so you get more eyeballs on the top names. You want to see Scotty play against Rory. You want to see more Cal and Goddard go at it down the stretch. You want to see Justin Rose, who's a tour veteran, battle out against some of these young kids. You know, um, I wouldn't put it past Rose to have a really good Masters if he continues to play well. You know, because he plays Augusta so good, and he's finished second there twice, both in playoffs. So he's proven that he can play the golf course. He just needs to get over the hump. Um, so I think he'll do well again this year. If you're going to place a bet for someone that maybe top 10, top 5, maybe I'm not telling you who to bet. I don't tell you who. That's not my forte. But that might be one to, if you want to, I won't call it a dark horse, but someone that maybe is not always on everybody's radar. They're always going to bet Scotty. They're always going to bet Rory. But then you kind of go, okay, after those two, who's the next guy? I think Goddard could be a guy that's in there. Morikawa, if his putting holds up. Uh, Tita Green, I think he's leading a lot of stats this year. He's kind of figured out his putting. There's a good video that I saw this morning with him talking to Tiger about they kind of got him into a putter where now he feels like he can release it, which is kind of interesting in a world of zero torque putters, that we sell a ton of. The guys on tour still wanting to feel the putter to release, which is kind of interesting. But anyway, that's my take on it. What else? So, guys, yeah, we're gonna post this up. I appreciate that you guys coming in. Watching me chat about golf for a little bit. Hopefully, you find this entertaining. Again, you can find me on all the socials. Here as well. We'll jump on to the Golf Creators Collective in probably about a half hour. So you can find me on there. Anything else, guys? We've had a few of you guys popping in and out, so I'm just looking over at the computer. And yeah, this is the absolutely good. Easy for me to say. This is the Absolutely Golf Podcast. This was episode number 3 that we're kind of shooting here, and then we'll upload later today. So again, guys, appreciate you tuning in, and we'll see you soon.